All right. Hey, good afternoon, everybody on Facebook and YouTube. Chris from Roasters Marketplace here. Today, we've got a special treat. I'm going to be cupping 5 Honduran coffees that my friend Emily sent me from Novus Coffee Imports. Really, really excited. We're actually going to be joined by Emily and another one of her friends over at Novus, Neil. And the really cool part is Neil's been to almost all of the farms, I believe, or at least some of the farms that we're going to have here today. I'm really excited to do this. I hope I do a good job. Cross your fingers so Emily will let me do this more often. But I'm super excited. If we've got any questions, put them in the comments, put them in the chat on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll get to them as we go through. But this is going to be your slurp warning. This is a live cupping. So if you're sensitive to slurping, you might just want to change the channel right now. So without further ado, here's Neil and Emily from Novus. Let me get them pulled up here. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Once again, one of the awkward welcome after already talking to y'all for a few minutes. How are y'all doing today?
Really good.
Yeah, doing great. I am happy to be here.
Neil, where are you at? If you don't mind.
I'm in Seattle.
You're in Seattle as well. Okay. You're in Pacific Northwest. Awesome. How's the weather today?
Really nice. At least like actually, outside of Portland, it's really nice.
Yeah, it's sunny here today, which is great. It rained yesterday, which it's not supposed to do. So we're happy that the sun's back. It's not supposed to rain in July in Seattle. That's the big secret.
We're expecting our first tropical storm to come in this weekend. So, let's see, we got plague, riots, possible hurricane.
Right.
I mean, if we can get an earthquake this weekend, my whole card will be good.
Yeah, it'll be bingo time.
Yeah.
My joke this year has been that 2020, the movie, I haven't seen enough of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Really, he needs to be there to help lead us through this.
So the funny thing is, I responded to somebody's political campaign poll text with a picture of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson yesterday, dude. I mean, it's like, seriously, we'd be probably better off. But anyway, enough about that. Tell me about the coffee that you sent me, Emily. Tell me a little bit about the program, because I believe most of these are lift coffees. And then we'll get into it a little bit.
Sure. So we sent you, and I just want to do a real quick intro. So Neil is our director of quality control at Novus. So he's over in Seattle right now. He's actually in our cupping lab. Neil roasted all of the samples that got sent over to you.
Cool.
And he, as part of our quality program, also has been to these farms, talked with the farmers, and works directly to provide the sensory feedback to the team in Honduras, as well as all of our other origin countries regarding how the coffees are doing and what we're seeing on the cupping table, and working with them for plans of improvement. So that's a little bit about Neil. If you've been in coffee for a while, Neil's face might look really familiar to you, because Neil's been in coffee for a really long time, and at just about every event that you could have ever gone to in the coffee world. So he's a super valuable part of our team and really integral to pretty much everything I do on my side. So if you've ever gotten samples from me, Neil's the one who roasts them, and it's great that he's able to join us.
Definitely. And I feel bad for not doing the intro.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm just so used to having you pop on and out, Emily, that I was like, okay, it's Neil. Everybody knows Neil.
Everybody knows Neil. Yeah. Well, I mean, in coffee, pretty much everybody does know Neil, so it works. So the coffees that we sent over to you are all, first of all, they're all from Honduras. They're all from and Neil, correct me if I get anything inaccurate here, but they're all from the Lempira region of Honduras,
all of them but the Zopalote, which is a natural, which we won't have today, but all of the rest of them are from Lempira.
Right. So we only, and that's a good point. I only sent over the washed coffees. There are a couple of natural coffees that are fantastic that we also brought in, but I really wanted to highlight the same processing method so that when you cup through them, you'll see the differences that can occur farm to farm, but also with the same processing method. So that'll be really fun. So they're all these ones are going to be all out of the Lempira region, and they all come out of our LIFT program. So LIFT is a program, just as a step back, Novus Coffee Imports is a part of a larger coffee importer called Mercon. And Mercon's been around for 65 years, based in Nicaragua. We have bases of operation in Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Brazil, Ethiopia, and Vietnam. So lots of on-the-ground work. And one of the programs that we are really excited about, so Mercon's really into innovation within the coffee industry. In fact, Novus can really be seen as their kind of innovation for what they wanted to do with customer service. And LIFT is really an innovative step that they took regarding sustainability. So the LIFT program is run on the ground. There's a team of people in Honduras that are working with this cluster of farmers, and the farmers go through it's really like an empowerment program. So the farmers go through training. They have agronomists who are visiting their farm 1 to 2 times a month for years. So this is like a long-term thing. And they get evaluated on how they're doing. They get plans of improvement, working with some of the best agronomists in the entire world. So they get this really like customized kind of plan for how to, you're good, for how to improve their farms, for how to make their farms more profitable. They get access to finance, which is really important, especially for female farmers who may not be have the same access to money and banking the way that male-owned or male farmers might. So there's access to capital. There's access to nurseries, like the top nursery stock in the world, so that they can continue to build and revitalize. The whole goal is to take a group of farmers and give them access to all of the tools, all of the support that they need to really be empowered to make their farms sustainable. And is it Charlie? I'm getting distracted.
Charlie, do you want the Christmas blanket? She ran away. Yeah, she knows that I'm she can stay doing something all morning long, and then as soon as I go live, she's like, oh, Dad's got the lights on. What's going on there? Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So I get distracted. She's really cute. Like, people aren't seeing her. She's really freaking cute. Yeah. So I got really distracted when I heard her cute little voice. So yeah, LIFT is all about empowering farmers. When we talk about sustainability, there's the path that you can go through for doing certifications, where somebody visits maybe one time every 3 years. This is hands-on, really working and doing the work with people on the ground to help them to become sustainable, both environmentally and financially, so that their farms, that they have something really worthwhile to pass along to future generations. So that's really kind of what the program's about. All of the coffees that you're seeing, that you're going to be cupping through, these are all micro lots, which means that they are less than full container size. So some of the lots may have been like 20 bags, some of them 50 bags. They're all, we consider those to be small lot coffees. They're all micro lots. They're all out of the LIFT program, which means that over the last year or two, they've had, there's, I saw Jolene. Over the last,
Jolene.
Over the last year or two, we are having, we've had agronomists and a whole team of quality people who are working with these farmers individually on their farm to make, help them to improve. So not only do we have most of these coffees we had last year as well, we offered. This year we made a concerted effort to seek out female farmers to provide them additional market access through this program and through to our customers. And then we also just, we had these coffees last year. We've got them this year. These are long-term relationships for us. So these are coffees that we anticipate having next year, and continuing to just watch these farms grow and develop, and hopefully for generations to come, these will be coffees we have.
That's such an exciting thing to be able to do, to be able to be like, you know what, we're going to put this work in, and then this crop this year is like, oh, it's really good. So what's it going to look like next year? If everything works like it's supposed to, you're going to get better coffee and better coffee and better coffee. Like the one from, I'm going to call it El Chachi here. That's what we call Charlie. I saw it on the name. So the Finca El Chachimbon.
Chachimbon, yeah.
Yeah. That one I want to rub. I just want to rub it all over my face. I'm sorry if that's vulgar, but it smells so good.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites. And then I've been to that farm as well, and the owner of the farm, when we went, brought his entire family with him on our tour, and then we had to stop every 15 feet or so for pictures, and he's a big part of the community down there, and he's become one of the biggest proponents of the LIFT program.
That's
so
awesome.
He's great. We're really excited to be able to work with him and help develop the quality in those farms.
And I'll just also say that another part on this, in the big picture with LIFT, is that all of these coffees, money from these coffees has provided a premium to the farmers. So they're getting quality premiums on top of what they would be making any other way. And they also, there's worked into these coffees that part of the proceeds from these coffees goes back to support LIFT. So it's really, when we talk about sustainability, even on the financial side, this is a program that supports itself from having roasters who dig it, not just the coffees, but also the program. And we're really, really excited to see the continued investment with it.
Yeah, and on top of that, even not only are we then paying more money, but since a big part of LIFT is increasing productivity, they're getting more bags that they're creating every year. So they're getting more money, and then also more money. And we also guarantee that we're going to buy. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And LIFT and Mercon is guaranteeing that they'll buy that additional productivity as well. So it's not like they're going to make money; it's just going to sit there. So
we're going to get this started.
Yeah.
As y'all talk, I'm going to start pouring my coffee. I'm starting my timer on the first one here. And I am not a expert at this. I've played around with cupping.
Weighing your water in your cupping, that's a big part. That's a big thing.
It's way more than we do.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody.
Well,
hey, if I'm pouring 40 cups and 60 cups, I'm not gonna.
I know.
I'm going to be pretty consistent with it.
Yeah, and my cups that I have are pretty awesome. They hold. If I really wanted to pour 160 in here, I could, but 150 is just enough to where it comes right up to the rim of the glass.
Yeah.
Well, I say that, and that one went over a little bit.
You're not spilling, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to see as you're going through these coffees. Like I said, they're all from the same region. They are all from the same. The farmers have all received similar support, and through the LIFT program.
Get that.
And they're all washed.
Mommy. Oh, okay. Hold on.
So sweet.
Oh, she's so sweet.
Did she give you ice cream sandwiches?
Yes,
Well, that goes really well with cupping.
Here you go.
I wish my mommy was that sweet.
Right?
You're welcome. I love you.
Yeah,
they're also all the same variety, same altitude, same area. They're all next to each other, so that their water is very similar in that way too. So
they're all the same variety of bean. They're all
Lempira and Icafe 90. 90.
Yeah. So what you're going to taste are really differences that come down to just the nuances of how that farmer is approaching that coffee, how that farmer is managing their farm, how that farmer is working with how they pick the coffee. But I think that they're very different. Like to me, they taste really different, which is so interesting with how much work how that can happen. And I think that also reflects just like how Lyft really does an individualized program with each farmer. So it's not a cookie cutter program where every farmer goes through and we tell each farmer, this is how you should do your farm, this is how you should do everything. It's hands-on, working with them all year long to help develop a relationship and help develop a very specialized program for that farm, because we also know that the unique quality of the coffee is something that's very prized as well. So that also provides additional market access. It's a way of marketing their coffee and helping them to sell that coffee. So and that's really important when we talk about the financial sustainability that a farm might have.
I think it's really cool that we can do this, and we can. I'm going to adjust my camera again. Sorry. Here. That we can, the idea behind this is I could have a roaster like Shane or Jose that are watching right now, that you can trace that bean all the way back to the hillside that was grown on.
Well, and even with
Honduras,
but what's crazy, even with Lyft, is that the not only can we trace that coffee back to that hillside and that farm, but with Lyft, the agronomists who are working on the farm actually keep all of these meticulous records, and we can actually go like on our phone. We have a Lyft app, and we can actually see what's happening on the farm, so that we can see what's really causing all of this, what we're tasting in the cup. So it's pretty fantastic.
Do you have any tips on breaking the crust?
Just to do it consistently. So whatever you do in one, I usually do like one scoop forward and then like swirl my spoon around like 2 times. But as long as it's consistent, so you don't want more agitation in one cup than you had in the other, because agitation will lead to extraction. So you want to make sure that it's similar.
I was going to say, and also rinse your spoon between each, otherwise you'll cross-contaminate.
Yeah. I'm really curious to hear what you're smelling. What's going on with these coffees?
They smell amazing. I've been sitting here for 5 minutes talking about it. It's or 4 minutes. This one is more, I'm going to burn my fingers doing that, but that one was really, really chocolatey. Chocolate notes on that one. I've still got a few seconds before I need to hit the last one. So first one, I'm going to say the last 4 numbers. So 4149, the Granadillas. Granadillas, really good smelling. It smells like caramel and toffee. When I opened the bag, I could have swore I smelled like pizza crust, the sweet like tomatoey pizza crust. Okay. Yeah. When I opened the bag, not when you
ground it, but
This one's more cocoa than anything right here. This is I should have sent you the order I have these on.
That's okay. If you want to just tell me, then I'll write it down. I'll make a note.
Okay, so the first one from left to right is the Finca Grandillas, and the Finca
Liquidambar.
Yeah. See, I'm not really.
Liquidambar is the name of a tree.
It's like a maple tree. So if you think of like
like a tiny maple leaf thing. Yeah. Granadillas is also a tree.
This one.
So many trees.
This is the last one. This is the Cuestra 41457.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that's our women's
Yeah, the
Women
Sanchez.
just
The last
own-
name
women
is
own
Sanchez on there.
Yep.
That's I thought that popped to my head. So here we go. First coffee is
And then did you also have the
4149.
uh-huh.
You should have
The
the rotary as well.
second coffee is 4143. Third coffee is 4145. The Robles.
Yeah.
Robles.
Mhm.
Then the fourth coffee is the 4147, the Chachi. I gotta get better on my
Cachimbon.
names. Yeah, and then
Catch and bone?
the last one
We
was
call
the
it, we say catch because we've
We
got
call
a
it
natural
catch.
for that one as well. So we call it the catch natch.
Okay. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and get the skim the cups because I'm there. I need to be doing that.
Sorry, we're distracting.
No, you're good. Go ahead and talk about it because I
Yeah.
want everybody to know kind of what we're doing here. That's watching that
Yeah.
might not be a
So-
roaster.
So Neil directs our quality side. So he's got tons of cupping experience. If you're not a coffee, if you've never cupped coffee before, and this is like a really strange thing for you to kind of think about, coffee cupping in a nutshell, I mean, it's a very, very basic form of coffee tasting that can really be done in any circumstance. So, or any location, you can cup coffee because it's so basic. It's just bowls, spoon, hot water, and a grinder. You can do that in Uganda. You can go and do that in Ecuador. You can do that in Honduras, and you can do that in the United States. So because of that, this is a very old tradition within the coffee industry of how we taste and evaluate coffee. There's a set of international standards developed by the Coffee Quality Institute, also adapted by the Specialty Coffee Association for how we cup coffee. I think actually, like I have a little cupping poster right behind me.
Well, isn't that handy?
I know. And you can't tell because it's kind of far away, but it actually has all the words around coffee cupping. So the whole purpose, though, is really this is a way to taste and evaluate coffee. What you did earlier with breaking the crust of the coffee is how we evaluate the olfactory, the nose sense, how it smells, and what we're looking for is really like we just want to know what it smells like. So we pour hot water over the coffee grounds and we let it steep all together for 4 minutes, and then using a big kind of like a soup spoon, break the crust that's formed. Break the crust that's formed on the top of the cup. And when that happens, right underneath that crust is this whole layer of aromatics that have been kind of trapped. So we get this really big blast of aromatics that we can evaluate. And we are looking for pleasant smells. We don't want to smell chemicals. We don't, and it's like, Neil cups a lot of coffees, and some of like we're very strict about what kind of coffee we bring in, what kind of coffee that we accept. But Neil can tell you, and I used to work in quality control as well, and I have had my fair share of terrible, awful.
I've got a lot of really colorful words I can use for our varying coffees.
Yeah.
My favorite term so far I've ever heard, it was in my first cupping class, Wuhan described one as walking into discount tire.
Oh yeah.
Like
I know that.
burnt. Yeah.
My worst is when I would get up to a table of coffees and I would get the overwhelming sense of like you've been like you just jumped into a pool and you have chlorine all the way up into your nasal passages. So that's my least favorite.
I'm not a big fan of the barnyard smell. Like you get this like really intense barnyard manure smell that's really awful. But we don't like those. Luckily, none of these coffees have that.
I'm just gonna drink this coffee because it's really good. This is just the first one. The
Cachimbon was the first one.
No, the
Granadilla.
Oh, Granadilla. That's right.
It's nutty. It's just like when I smelled it. It's really nutty on a toasted almond level, I would think. And all these coffees are like at a very medium roast, right? They're all to the same roast profile. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Or just.
Yep. So it's
Yeah,
like
we roast them.
oh, go ahead, Neil.
I was gonna say we roast them all on your standard old style like Probot sample roaster. So it's all very manual, but I went on these like just a hair darker than what your standard SCA roast would be, probably. Just a little bit more development on there.
We're going into the second one, the 4143.
And so the first slurp that you go through is always going to be something that is very hot, right? It's going to be rather hot. As the coffee cools, what you'll see is you will have an increased ability to evaluate the sweetness and the acidity of the coffee as it cools. And so those initial flavors that you might get, it's really important that we cup coffee multiple times at different temperatures. So as you're getting those initial qualities, you want to see how the coffee transforms, and you also want to just be aware. I like to think about like the first pass, I'm getting aromas, I'm getting some just initial thoughts about the coffee. But that second and third pass, I'm really going to be looking at what those acidities are forming. Usually in the first pass,
wow.
that's you're good.
Oh wow! So the Robla, the Robles,
yeah.
Side by side with the 4143. I can't mess up people's names too bad. So it really distinct. I was like, oh, that one's a little bit more bright than the first one. And then this one right here, the Robles has a whole different character to it. The second coffee was more peanutty. The first two were both kind of on the nut realm.
Side. Yeah.
But this one is getting into like an orange peel. It's got a little bit more citrus to it, which is cool coming from the same region and the same roast and everything, that it's just that much different to it.
Yeah.
The Roble is the same owner as the Licky Dunbar. That's the same owner as both of those farms.
Yeah, it's a different farm, same owner.
There's a cinnamon hit in this. It's just a little, or would you call it brown spice on the
if it tastes like cinnamon, call it cinnamon. That's my opinion on that.
That Burundi I was telling you about the other day from Mall Grab. I mean, like literally sit in the office in the afternoon and take a sip of the coffee as it's been cooling for a long time, and just out of nowhere, apple pie crust, like perfect. I was like, oh, stop. Stop what we're doing. Let's go for this. Here's the chachi, or
the catch and bone.
Catch and bone, yeah.
Yeah. The catch.
It's a long side right there. It's really close to. It's got a little brightness to it as well.
Yeah. So one of the things that's been really awesome is, so last year was our first year offering these coffees to our customers, and really warmly received. So we were very excited about it. We could not believe how well these coffees all held up for the entire year. Oftentimes coffees from Honduras, they have a reputation of fading fairly fast. These coffees are all grain prod. And the other thing that's unique about them is that they're actually stored in Lempira at altitude right until they're ready to ship. So because they don't go down to a more low elevation and humid climate, and get stored down there, they just have this amazing staying power. They're very, very stable. They're really easy to roast, and they really hold up. So this is, I've never really encountered a Honduran coffee that lasted so well, and we had like all of our Honduran coffees lasted really, really well. What you're cupping right now is the fresh crop, so these all just arrived.
So this one is the last one. I've made my way all the way to the last one, and when I opened the bag, I made some notes, and so this was the most cocoa-y. This is the most chocolatey one to it, and I had to check the roast level. Like I was like, is it roasted just a little bit darker? but it's not. It was the same color. I don't have a spectrometer,
Yeah.
but it was the same color to my eye. And when I brewed it, it smelled darker and it smelled more rich. It smelled a little bit more chocolatey. And now tasting it, and it is definitely the most to the chocolate earth side of all these coffees. This is fun. So what are you sending me next week?
That's the Laquestra, right?
Yeah, it's the Laquestra.
So, and it's also probably a good time for me to mention what we're gonna do with this. So, not only are you cupping through these coffees, but you are going to pick one, and we have just launched a small box program where you can purchase coffees in quantities of 25 pounds that Neil himself will bag up for you at our
I will
Seattle.
be doing it myself.
So we will package up this coffee, and we're going to have this available during September and October. I'm also going to have Neil send some of whatever coffee you pick. He's going to send some to me, and I'm going to, during August, spend some time roasting it and putting together some roasting videos about how to approach this coffee and what this coffee experience is like in the roaster. So whichever coffee you pick, we're going to roll it out for September and October. If you're looking for full bags or you want to try these coffees on your own, you can totally email me. You can reach out through our website or just email me at esmith@novuscoffee.com, and I'll be happy to send you over a set of samples yourself. Oh, baby doll. For full bag orders, absolutely, we can hook anybody up with samples and get them started and help them. We warehouse coffee literally across the country. So wherever you're at, we'll have a warehouse near you that we can get these coffees available to you. But for roasters who are looking for a smaller quantity, whether it's for kind of freeing up cash and liquidity, or you just want like a small limited release to play around with, we're going to have these available in the 25-pound boxes that will ship out. And like I said, we'll have a really cool program also with this, where you can see how I approach the coffee in the roaster and what that coffee was like, and we'll give lots of extra fun details that are super special. So that's just going to be for it's kind of our little collaboration here, a little Novus Roasters Marketplace collaboration.
And we'll definitely do something on the consumer end of that when we roll this out. If any of my roasters pick it up, and they should. I'm back. This is the Robles. It's good.
What are you thinking on your second pass? How has it changed the first?
I'm getting more to the acidity and the brightness of it. It is cooler, and I'm picking it up. This is still in the apricot and tangerine area, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back and hit the second one again because it was really good. It's really good coffee. This is, I keep on mentioning it on my website, and when I do these lives, that everybody's like, "What's your favorite coffee?" I'm like, "You don't have any idea how hard that is at this point, because all of my roasters make really good coffee. They get really good beans, and it's really, really, really difficult."
Yeah, you would never say which is your favorite kid, but
no, I would never do that.
It's the same with coffee. It's there's good coffee from everywhere.
Yeah,
that one is so sweet. I'm back to the second one.
Liquid Ambar.
Liquid Ambar, yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the notes when I smelled it first time that was caramel and toast, and then I'm going to add there's some like a honeyness to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I definitely got a lot of like honey and vanilla notes out of that coffee. It's the other thing to kind of think about as you're approaching these coffees too is the mouthfeel. So when you're cupping coffees, you You might find that some are really juicy, or some that are kind of a little bit thin, more tea-like, and others that are really creamy and velvety. So that's another component that's really unique to the coffee itself.
So
Mm-hmm.
as I spill coffee all over myself here, I've always wondered why there was the black pepper note on different things,
Mm-hmm.
like a little bit of kick.
Yeah.
And I'm going to still call it a chachi.
Chachi. That might become the chachi from now on.
It might be. We just got to find a Joni.
There's a little peppery to it. There's a little peppery and a sweetness now that it cools.
That's a really the other thing that a lot of times, so if you ever see scores for coffees, a big part of the scoring system is really that scoring rewards complexity and pleasantness. So it's not just about like it has a lot of body, but the body's complex and the body has a lot of pleasant qualities to it. So when you have all of these different elements to the coffee, those are things that really boost up the scores of these coffees. Neil and I are both certified Q graders, and I think we've both scored these coffees, the range of them between like an 85 to like an 87. So that's kind of a range, I think, of where you'd find these coffees. I feel everybody's a little unique in how they score coffee, so it's hard to for me to really tell somebody what I think they're going to score it as well until we're calibrated. But just to give you an idea of the range of the coffees that you're trying.
Yeah, I've got. I actually have my notes in front of me here, and I've got 84.5 up to 86 and a quarter for these coffees. So
yeah.
Which is great scores for me. I rarely give over an 86 for anything.
I just heard a door shut. I have to go and double check that they didn't break in on a conference call downstairs. So I'll be right back. So please talk, entertain my audience.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So so we've got a lot of really great high quality coffees out of Honduras, and I think that I'm a pretty tough scorer as well, and I would say some of these lots to me were up to like that 86, 86.5 in the coffees. While Chris is gone, let's just what's your favorite one out of here?
My favorite, the Cachinbon for sure.
Okay. So I think that my favorite was probably it's possibly the liquid ambar. I just really love the mouthfeel that coffee has. It's so creamy and velvety, and it has this really, and it's I hate to say that it has this really honey sort of sweetness to it because it's called liquid ambar, and I'm like, am I just thinking that because of the name? But honestly, it's got this really great like honeycomb sort of sweetness to it, and that plus the really round and complex body that it has. It's such a nice coffee,
and it's got this pineapple, like it's almost comes out as just a pineapple acidity, which is pretty rare.
Yeah, and I also thought that the Cachinbon has a lot of tropical fruit notes to it. It reminds me a lot of like tropical pineapple, maybe a little bit of mango, especially in some of the mouthfeel. It's very kind of texturally like that.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of melon, like maybe a little bit of honeydew. I was trying to explain to somebody, and also the Cachinbon has a.
I'm back.
Oh. Nope. Okay, we gotta stop talking now.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
We were talking secrets while you were gone.
Well, it's recorded, so I would go back and listen. It's cool. It's always fun working from home. And this week, my wife's work, they're alternating. They do 2 weeks at work and 2 weeks at home. And so when I heard the door shut downstairs, I had to go remove the baby from.
When we were just on a meeting before this, and my boss, Scott, his cat kept walking in front of the camera. He's working from home today.
Yeah, just like passing through cat.
And there are these 2 adorable little kittens with just fluffy cats and just coming right across here the whole time.
It's such an interesting world that This is not the cyberpunk dystopia that I was promised.
I know.
If Cyberpunk had Netflix, then it would be very similar, I think.
It's more the idiocracy future that I was promised.
Yes.
Anyway.
More that than the Mad Max.
Yeah.
But
which is okay. I'm okay with
Yeah.
this. Kind of.
So what do we
what coffee are you
what
tasting
are
now?
thinking?
I'm back at the I'm back in the center. I'm back to Robles. It's really good. I'm kind of starting to move them forward. The farther they get away from me, the less not the less like that I like them, but the less I like them, I guess you could say.
One of the notes I have here for the El Roble is it tastes similar to a Guatemala. It's got this very like chocolate and complex acidity and sort of thing going on there.
Yeah, I
So-
thought it was a lot like when you get like a really, really nice dark chocolate and that chocolate itself starts to have fruit notes to it. That's something that I always just think about a lot when I think about Guatemalas. I think about the finest dark chocolates, like the most high quality dark chocolates, and how within that chocolate itself, there's this whole range of flavors. And I feel like the complexity on that coffee, as well as typically on Guatemalas, I find that a lot with them.
The Robles next to it's interesting that I have these two coffees. They just came in together on the tasting because they're so different. The Chachi and the Robles. There's one of them's very lemony and citrusy and bright, and the other one is chocolatey and rich, and it's got a big body mouthfeel to it, and it's peppery. And they do not complement each other well. There's stark differences, which is cool when you're doing a cupping because it's that next one that stands out when you go to the next one. I did a practice run yesterday with some fuzzy monkey samples, and the last one I had was a Tanzanian, and everything else was South American, and everything else was pretty much like Colombian and Peru, and so they all had kind of the same ideas going on. And I got to the last one, and just like the lemon hit me out of nowhere because I wasn't expecting the
acidity.
But the acidity on it is awesome.
Sure.
It was awesome. So you had nothing but a bunch of roasters watching today.
Oh,
so.
Cool. Well,
Awesome.
it's a great opportunity, and I'll just kind of reiterate that if any of the roasters would like to try out their own set of these coffees, they can contact me, and we can get Neil to roast you up your own,
I'm happy to roast some samples
or send you some green coffee, and you can try them out. I think that these are super fun coffees. They're also all fairly limited. We only brought in total 1 container of coffee from Honduras. So when I mentioned that these are all micro lots, they're all pretty limited. So now is a good time to check them out and see if there's any of these coffees that you enjoy. The El Roble that you really like it's interesting. The comments that you had about mouthfeel and the body of the coffee, because it's actually a coffee that works really well in espresso blends as well, or as a single origin espresso, because it's got so much of that chocolate, so much body that it like can really pump out a beautiful, really well balanced espresso.
Doug's bouncing out, so Doug says cool stuff later. Chris, he's from Fuzzy Monkey. I'm going to go through some of these questions here or comments. We've got Jose. He's from Third Day Coffee in Seguin.
Hey, Jose.
Texas.
Nice to see you.
Hi, Jose.
We got Shane. He's from Tobra Coffee up in y'all's neck of the woods.
Oh, hey, Shane. I don't know him, but we can become friends.
He's in
Where are you, Shane?
West or Eastern Washington State over in
cool.
the. Hold on, I'll tell you.
On the other side of the Cascades?
Yeah, on the other side of the Cascades. I might have one of his prop bags here. Tobra Coffee, Tekoa, Washington.
Antigua. I don't know it.
way west, like in the,
Okay.
I'm very Seattle focused. I've never actually gone east of the Cascades in the state, and I've lived here for 10 years. So
So Shane, you should email me because I do actually get out that way once all of this craziness resolves, and maybe
he's got
we can do some
they've got
coffee.
a really cool little small town that he roasts in. And
Cool.
pretty much everybody in that town drinks his coffee.
That's
It's really cool.
awesome. Hey.
Evansville. Yeah, Evansville, you know, Tim.
Hey, Tim.
We've got Doug. He was the one from Fuzzy Monkey
Great.
Coffee that dropped out. We had some good viewers on this one. This is really good.
Awesome.
Okay, so do I have to pick from the cupping?
You do. You have to pick one. It's gonna be the one.
I can't like throw it in the AeroPress or the Chemex tomorrow and see.
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, you'd
be leaving us on a cliffhanger.
No, I mean, you can do whatever you want with the rest of it.
I got to mark the bowls next time because I was going to mix these up and see which one I like blind. But I
Don't
can't.
Do that.
I can't mix them.
Don't do that. That's always the worst. That's always the worst idea. Don't mix them up.
That's got a little raisin to it as it comes out, and that is the Quinta. No, that is
the Cuesta?
No.
Or the liquid amber.
That's the Robles.
Robles.
I've just moved. I've got two coffees. I've moved up.
Okay.
And that was 4149 and 4143 are not in the running.
Okay.
I've got three here. We're dead heat on the other three. This is really cool. This is really fun.
Well, we can do this again and send you another set of samples. We have some really amazing coffees. This would be really fun to do with our Guatemalan coffees because holy moly, the Guatemalans are super different and the Colombians as well. So we can make this a regular thing. You can cup through coffees and we can talk to you about the origin and where they come from. And anything.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're talking about those Colombias that are all sort of the same thing a minute ago, but you should try some of the ones that we get coming in today.
They're like bonkers, like mind-blowing. They're so different. So we'll
never had a
figure that out. We'll schedule something where you can cup through some guats and cup through a table of Colombias.
Yeah, if we'll do whatever we need to. This is really, really smooth. The chachi, now that it's got even cooler, the pepper, the little spice kick has dropped back off, and there's a little I'm a big rye whiskey fan. And there's some notes of rye in it, and I think it's still that kick.
Now,
it's just kind of cooled off to it.
Do you get some tropical notes out of the catch and bone? Because that's what Neil and I both, when we cupped it, we got a lot of tropical notes like pineapple acidity and a little bit of kind of like melon.
There's some melon. There's some melon rind. There's some not too sweet melon in it, I would think.
How about a floral or anything like that?
It's really fun to see somebody else cup the coffees like in a different context because Neil and I are like pretty well calibrated as far as our palates. Like we typically taste very similar things in the coffees. And this is why it's a really good idea for a roaster to get calibrated with their importer. So one of the things that I really like to do is to get somebody set up, like to start the process and get them set up with a set of basic coffees that I'm really familiar with for cupping notes. And then I want them to cup them and give me their notes so I can see where we're different and see how we can kind of calibrate together. And then once I understand how that person is, how their palate is developed and how they taste and get to know a coffee, it makes it so much easier for me to send them recommendations and get them started with coffees. And when a coffee comes in that's really unique, I know like, oh man, that's who would really love that coffee. So if you ever have the opportunity, reach out to your importer and ask them, about calibrating. And also if you feel like you're not getting, if you feel like you're getting a lot of misses from your importer and you're not getting a lot of coffees that you really love, it might just be that you're not calibrated to the same palate as your importer. And so they're sending you coffees maybe they really love, but they're not the coffees that you would have selected yourself. So it's really good to calibrate with people and work with your importer as a partner for sourcing coffees.
Yeah. And
So
I would
now,
say,
go ahead, Neil.
I was going to say a lot of calibration is just understanding how somebody tastes one thing and how that's different. So like if I say almond and you taste that and you say that tastes like chocolate, then we're still tasting the same thing. We're just coming to a different conclusion, right? So you say chocolate and I'm going to say, okay, well, this one to me tastes like almond. So I'm going to send you something that tastes like almond to me. And you're
right.
You
You've got to identify that. That's
like, right. And that's really all that calibration comes down to, is just getting on the same page.
Right. Because I mean, I'm not going to be like, this one tastes like mango White Claw. I mean, that's
right.
Somebody had that as a tasting note on their bag. I saw floating around on Instagram.
Some key lime LaCroix here, which is.
I had somebody evaluate a coffee and give me the tasting note of. They said that it tasted like had a finish of Vegemite, and I was like, I like literally have no clue what that means.
Salty dip.
You don't want to know. That's
I don't know.
That Australian. So I'm down. Here's what we're down to.
Okay.
So the El Roble, the Robles, and the Cuestra, right? Sanchez Cuestra.
And that one is, by the way, our first women-owned specific farm, which we're very excited about. We're hoping to bring in more next year, and we're thinking it's going to be a big.
And it's super limited too.
We're running out, I would say. I don't know how many exactly we have left of that, but
you need to go next time you go to Guatemala, Neil. You need to check out the ladies over at Chickabee, and I'll send you their information. Phenomenal coffee that they've got there, and kind of the same thing. It's like a women-owned collective of farmers that are, they're doing really good. Really good.
When I was in Rwanda, I got to go to Ingakaya, which is a women-owned collective there, which is it's fantastic. Hopefully, I get to travel again soon.
One day, right? Maybe in 10 years. I don't know if I'm going to say this decade, but one day you'll get to travel again.
Let's see. We are down to 9 total bags of the La Cuesta.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. It's good. It's definitely good. And it's a more I'm at the point where it's kind of cool, and it's a coffee. The La Cuesta is a coffee. It's a coffee that tastes like coffee, and it's really, really good.
That's also the only one that's new for us this year of these 5. We had all the rest of them last year.
If I was looking for something that I was going to make for anybody, it would be, out of these 2, it would be the La Cuesta, right? And then but I like the Robles better.
Cool.
It's my pick. It's
my pick. Okay. So the El Roble is
4145.
Yep. So that will be our offering for September and October. And if you are interested in securing more than 25 pounds of that, you most certainly can let me know, and we can make sure you get some samples and try that out. Otherwise, stay tuned for some really awesome roasting advice on that coffee, or at least like roasting approach. So we'll keep the conversation going. We'll be working with Chris to develop some additional content and make that coffee super special for everyone.
It's really good. It's really good. And it was a hard pick between all of them. All of them are really good coffee. But let me explain my pick on that. It was the one that had the more flavor to it, the larger
complexity.
Profile, the more complexity. And I didn't even know that was part of scoring on the coffee, is like how complex it actually is, adds to the score. What is the difference between those 2? Can you tell me?
difference
score?
in
Yeah, in the scoring of those two coffees that I had. Where did I fall into the range on
For
picking the?
my scores, they're pretty close, honestly. The Roble gets about an 85 from what I've given it before, and the La Cuesta is 84 and a half. So
yeah.
they're pretty close.
And they're both really solid coffees. Really, really wonderful. And I think what's going to be really cool is that if anybody picks these up, these are coffees that are exceptionally milled. They're very, very well picked. They're super consistent, very clean coffees. They're easy to roast. And your roasters of any experience level should really be able to dig into these coffees. There are things within that Roble that you can pop out that are going to be fantastic and really exciting. And there's things that great ways to roast these coffees. There's so much sweetness and complexity, and you're going to have a really fun time roasting, profiling these coffees, and they are just exceptionally high quality, like from in every way you look at them. So I'm excited for roasters to get to play around with it, and yeah, it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks for so let's, if you've still got a minute or two.
Yeah.
So critique my technique.
Oh,
here.
I mean,
This-
the only thing that I can say is that once you poured, because you weighed the coffee, once you poured it, you had to move it off the scale, and that would be a no-no because you don't accidentally want to break the crust on the coffee.
Okay.
So typically we are very hands-off. Like once the water is poured, we're hands-off on the coffee so that we don't accidentally break the crust. That's like the biggest cupping, like public cupping faux pas, is if somebody like bumps the table and breaks the crust on the coffees.
Okay.
But otherwise, I think you're doing great. And
Yeah.
you did a really good job with giving some great tasting notes. Yeah, good
I was
job.
trying to listen to see what y'all were saying, and that was the difficult part. It was like trying to figure out what I'm thinking because I'm tasting, because it's a hands-on experience when you're doing this. And typically in the tasting that I've been a part of, everybody was silent while they were doing it because they were thinking of, except for the slurping, because they were thinking of what are we tasting? What are we finding on the coffee?
Right. Well, and also you don't want to mess up somebody else by saying something. So table talk is what we call it, and it's usually a big no-no.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we'd have had an hour of silence on a YouTube
but
video.
so next time what I might do is I might just mute y'all to me. I'll turn off my headphones so everybody else can hear what you're talking.
And then we can be like broadcasters. I mean, it'll be like a new sports thing. And we'll broadcast like the play-by-play of what you're doing.
That would be awesome. We get more viewers. Yeah, definitely that one. But well, thank y'all very much. I've got to get off here and get ready for cooking dinner. I've got an interview with Honduran Coffee Company tonight at 7 o'clock. We're going to be doing a Meet Your Coffee Roaster live on our YouTube and Facebook, same place, and the Common Grounds podcast. But Neil, really cool to meet you, man.
You too, Chris.
If you ever want to jump on and hang out sometime and talk to my crowd of people, you can, even if it's one person that's watching. It's a lot of fun. Emily, once again, thank you for including me in this. It was an honor to do this. I hope to do it again sometime. And we'll have the I'll get you more information about the sustainability show coming up in August that we're doing on the channel.
Awesome.
So it's going to be really cool. Appreciate it. I'm going to bounce y'all down into the green room.
Okay.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
There's the baby.
Dada.
Hang on, baby.
Dada.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Daddy.
Yes, ma'am.